beekeeper direct, which is not something that you get in the stores. My whole family, it's typically a job that's done between my mom, my sister, and my dad as far as the bottling goes of the honey. My father is the beekeeper. He started this business many, many years ago. He's been beekeeping for probably over 40 years. My dad's involved in the process from the start to the finish. So everything that you see here is locally all grown in the San Diego County, a couple locations in Riverside County as well. It tastes the same right when it comes right out of the bee frame, which comes right out of the hive. So when you take the honey out in the warehouse that they have, my dad will often transfer it from one very large barrel to a smaller size barrel, and then from that point, by hand, they would literally fill it into what you see here, something like this, all by hand. All of these are by hand, so it does take quite a while to do, and you kind of learn a technique as you do it, but you get used to getting sticky and getting honey on you. And I can remember many, many days coming home, working with my dad and having honey all over me and just smelling like honey, and there's nothing like taking a shower after being full of honey. His parents allowed him to have a beehive in their house when he grew up, and he always knew he wanted to be a beekeeper, and he's been beekeeping for probably over 40 years. When he first started out, he was allowed to work for other beekeepers that ran their own that ran their own beekeeping outfits, and he gained his experience through working with other people. And at one point he worked for somebody that promised to sell him his business when he retired, and it didn't turn out that way, so my dad ended up starting his own business and went on his own, and he's been doing it ever since. That's all I've ever known my dad to do, is to be a beekeeper. My father can have anywhere from 200 to 800 colonies depending on bee mortality rates. Essentially like how many bees are dying and how many new ones, how many new colonies you're building and splitting. Well, the bees are something that you have to keep alive throughout the year, and if you see that your colonies are decreasing in numbers or that the queen's not laying enough eggs, you either have to replace them, or the bees in certain cases will kill the queen and try to raise another one. So depending on your mortality rates, your bee populations can increase or decrease throughout the year. It comes in the mail, actually. And most post offices where my parents live know them as the beekeepers, because it literally has a USPS package that says live queen bees. So there are certain people that raise queens, so it's like an actual job. Somebody has a scientific job where they breed and make queens. I believe there are certain places in Northern California. I think you can probably get them from other countries as well. So people specialize in that, and that's a whole other career field. And so yeah, you purchase the queens, and then you place them in the hive if the beekeeper notices that there are some deficiencies happening within the colony. Eventually, if enough things happen to it, the colony could collapse or the colony could die off if they have a poor queen that's not laying, or if the queen is laying too many eggs that are for drones, which are the male bees. The female bees are the ones that produce the honey and are the ones that have stingers, so that's actually a product that the females make. It depends on when the flowers are in bloom, so that may vary throughout the year. My father's really good about knowing what things are in, season or blooming, and throughout the year he could be taking 80 to 90 colonies away from one location when he thinks that blooms over and taking it somewhere else. So in theory, you could have multiple times throughout the year where you're harvesting honey, but it really depends on the previous year's rainfall and the blossom and the blossoms of whatever sources are available in that area. So today we have orange blossom. That's typically, most people think that's the sweetest. This one's called West Coast Wildflower, wild buckwheat. These two are going to be kind of in the moderate range as far as like their flavor profile. And over here, this is the most popular one that we have today. It's called avocado blossom. It comes from the actual white flower that blossoms on the avocado tree. And a lot of people are really attracted to it by its richness and how robust it tastes. For us, that was really something that we were really proud of, because my dad has been a beekeeper for over 40 years, and he's never once been recognized, let's say, for his honey or won any awards for it, because a lot of those things don't really exist. No, that was something we were really proud of when he took first place, and they not only did it once, but 2 times with 2 different varieties of honey, so she has some more information about that on the website. I think beekeeping is a really wonderful thing. I have a huge respect for it, but it's something that if it's not something you're truly passionate about, I think it would be a very, very difficult and hard job to do. It requires you to have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things that I personally don't think that I'm very knowledgeable on. A lot of people that are beekeepers are very good with mechanical things. They know how to fix things if they break down, whether it's extracting equipment, machines, vehicles, and in addition to that, you also have to know a lot about science and flowers and bloom and rainfall and things like that. And those are things that my dad is just really good with, and I don't think that I was born with having those innate abilities. But I've worked for him my whole life, and I have a lot of great memories from working out in the bees. And I think it was probably the one time that my dad and I got stung probably 150 times together within less than 3 minutes that I think that probably changed my thoughts on ever wanting to do that. There are a lot of people that are unaware of the differences between honey that can be purchased in stores, from large grocery store chains as opposed to directly from a beekeeper. So, it can be just as complex as trying, fine wines or, an aged tequila. A lot of difference of things, that can affect the overall flavor and flavor profile of the honey itself. So it's a very exciting thing, and we just love talking to people about it. It gives us a lot of pleasure and pride to be able to sell something that our family makes. This is my sister Erika. She operates all of the business side of the family, from the farmers markets to the online orders to sales to accounts. She also handles social media and photography, and she really is very talented and does a lot of things for our family business. Yeah, come on down and visit Mikolich Family Honey in the Little Italy Farmers Mercado, Saturdays from 8 to 2, or in Pacific Beach, is it from 2 to 7? On Tuesdays, 2 to 7, Pacific Beach.